And we are back to What Did AI Say at VickyL-4AI on YouTube. Thank you so very much for coming back to the podcast. As always, gratitude is the attitude. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's question, episode number 96. Why is distance running bad for your body and sprinting not? Okay, before we get to ChatGPT's answer, let me tell you what motivated me to ask this question. I'm a sprinter. I love to sprint. So I'm always looking for different techniques and watching videos from different coaches as they coach elite sprinters to learn new things. So maybe a few weeks ago, I was doing that and ended up in a rabbit hole of sorts where some one an athletic doctor, as a matter of fact, was talking about the difference between sprinting and distance running and how one is better than the other. Now, I've been an athlete probably my entire life, and I've never thought that distance running was better than sprinting or that sprinting was better than distance. In my mind, it's always been depending on the person's body and what it is capable of doing. I'm not a distance runner, but I have run distance in the past, and my body just does not like it. I prefer sprinting, but I do believe, and I have friends and athletic partners that I train with who prefer sprinting. Who prefer distance, excuse me, and their bodies prefer distance running. So I've never believed that one was better than the other, but because I fell down that rabbit hole, I wanted to do an episode. So my question is coming from the perspective of sprinting being the best, although that's not what I think personally. So just in case you forgot what the question is, let me repeat it again. Why is distance running bad for your body and sprinting not? Okay, ChatGPT's answer. Distance running is not inherently bad for your body, and sprinting is not inherently safe. They stress the body in different ways. Exactly. What people are usually referring to is that high volume endurance running can produce more chronic wear and tear effects than moderate sprint training when done excessively. Okay, that is true. Why long distance running can become harmful? 1. Repetitive joint loading. Distance running involves tens of thousands of repeated impacts. Over years, very high mileage can contribute to tendon overuse, stress fractures, cartilage wear, hip, knee, ankle, and foot injuries. The issue is usually too much volume, too little recovery. Recovery is key. Poor mechanics or inadequate nutrition. Nutrition is vital. Moderate running generally improves health. 2. Chronic cortisol and recovery stress. Long endurance sessions elevate stress hormones like cortisol for extended periods. Excessive endurance training can lead to suppressed testosterone, weakened immune function, fatigue, sleep issues, overtraining syndrome. Elite marathoners often walk a narrow line between adaptation and breakdown. Whew, that's very narrow. 3. Oxidative stress. Very prolonged aerobic exercise increases, aerobic exercise increases free radical production, inflammation, and tissue breakdown. Normally, the body adapts well, but extreme volumes may outpace recovery. Back to recovery is key. 4. Cardiac remodeling at extreme levels. This was one of the things from the video that I watched that they really focused on the remodeling of your heart when you do a great deal of endurance running or long distance. Some research suggests lifelong extreme endurance athletes may have higher rates of arterial fibrillation, coronary artery calcification, and heart scarring. This appears mostly in ultra endurance athletes, decades long high mileage competitors, not average recreational runners. Moderate cardio strongly improves cardiovascular health overall. Why sprinting is often viewed differently. Sprinting is short duration, explosive, ana, anaerobic, high intensity with lower total volume. It tends to preserve muscle mass, improve insulin sensitivity, stimulate the growth hormone and testosterone, also strengthen bones and fast twitch fibers. From an evolutionary perspective, humans likely evolved more from walking, jogging intermittently, sprinting occasionally, then running marathons regularly. Okay, so you hear that? This is Chatgpt. From an evolutionary perspective, humans likely evolved more from walking, jogging intermittently, sprinting occasionally, than from running marathons regularly. Okay, that I do believe. When you think about, early people that hadn't discovered like camels, horses, and donkeys yet, they would usually walk, maybe jog, maybe run quickly, but not a lot running distance. But I mean, then you look at like some of the countries in Africa having some of the best distance runners, the Kenyans, the Ethiopians, probably because they had to run distance to go do whatever it is they needed to do. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on your surrounding area, your terrain, and your everyday necessities. So, distance running can be a regular thing, but sprinting has its own risks. Okay, let's talk about the sprinting risks. Sprinting causes hamstring tears. This is true. Achilles injuries, muscle strains, tendon ruptures, high acute stress on the nervous system. It is not safe, it is simply stressful in a different way. Distance running causes more cumulative wear. Sprinting causes more explosive injury risk. So they both have their own pros and cons. I still am a believer that you gravitate to the one that your body adapts to the best. So the real distinction dose. Health outcomes often follow a U-shaped curve. Too little activity, bad for health. Moderate activity, best overall. Extreme activity can become harmful. The healthiest long-term pattern for most people is usually a mix of walking, strength training, moderate cardio, occasional high-intensity work, adequate recovery. Not sedentary living, but chronic extreme endurance training, but not chronic extreme endurance training either. Okay, let's repeat all of that. The healthiest long-term pattern for most people is usually a mix of walking, strength training, moderate cardio, occasional high-intensity work, adequate recovery. Not sedentary living, but not chronic extreme endurance training either. That is extremely important. I would have to say, and I don't say this often, that right there, I agree 100% with Chatgpt on. That is definitely how I model my training, and I have gotten great results. So I have to say that I completely agree with that. Okay, let's continue. What the evidence generally shows. Moderate running is associated with longer lifespan, lower cardiovascular disease, better metabolic health, reduced mortality. But the benefits appear to plateau after a certain volume. More is not always better. Okay. Wow. For Chatgpt, that was really good. Okay, let's check out Deepseek's answer and see what it had to say. And just in case you forgot the question, allow me to repeat it. Why is distance running bad for your body and sprinting not? That's a great question, but it's based on a common misconception. The truth is that neither is inherently bad for you, and both can be harmful if done incorrectly. However, the types of risks are very different. Here's why distance running is often associated with chronic wear and tear, while sprinting carries different, more acute risks. Why distance running has a reputation for being bad. The issue, now I didn't even know that it had a reputation for being bad. Okay, so the rabbit hole I fell down was kind of like not really a rabbit hole, I guess. There's really an issue there. Okay, let's continue. The issue isn't running far, it's high volume and lack of recovery over long periods. The main problems stem from repetitive, low impact stress. So let's repeat that because I think that is crucial information. The issue isn't running far, it's high volume and lack of recovery over long periods. The main problems stem from repetitive, low impact stress. Okay, 1. Chronic joint and bone stress. The repeated impact, approximately 1,000 foot strikes per mile, can over years lead to stress fractures, runner's knee, shin splints, and cartilage wear in hips and knees. Muscle catabolism. Not familiar with that word. Catabolism. Okay, breakdown. Very long runs signal the body to preserve fat and break down muscle for energy. Very long runs signal the body to preserve fat and break down muscle for energy, potentially reducing power and muscle mass over time. 3. Oxidative stress and inflammation. Steady state endurance running creates sustained high levels of free radicals, potentially outpacing the body's antioxidant repair. 4. Pounding form. As distance runners fatigue, their form degrades, leading to inefficient heavy strides that increase impact on joints. Why sprinting doesn't get the same bad reputation. Sprinting is high intensity, short duration, and explosive. It's rarely performed for long enough to cause the chronic issues above. However, it has its own dangers. 1. High acute injury risk. Hamstring pulls, quad tears, Achilles ruptures, and groin strains are common due to extreme forces, up to 3 to 4 times body weight. 2. High CNS demand. Sprinting is incredibly taxing on the central nervous system, requiring longer recovery. Overdo it and performance plummets with increased injury risk. Okay. 3. Technique sensitivity. Poor sprint form quickly leads to injury. The barrier to safe sprinting is much higher than for jogging. I agree with that. The key difference high risk present. Feature distance running risk, sprinting risk, onset chronic overuse builds over months/years, acute sudden pull muscle torn ligament. Okay, I hate when they do these charts like this. Okay, so feature distance running risk. Onset chronic overuse builds over months, years. Sprinting risk, acute sudden pull muscle torn ligament. Distance running, primary system joints, bones, slow twitch muscles, and sprinting, muscle tendons, fast twitch fibers, CNS. Distance running, volume problem, too many miles, too little rest. Sprinting, risk sprinting, too many sprints, too little rest. So just to emphasize what both Chatgpt and Deepseek have said very quickly, rest is vital. It is vital. A lot of mistakes can be made. In my personal belief, a lot of mistakes can be made in both long distance training and sprinting training. But rest, good quality rest, and recuperation can overcome a lot of those mistakes. So keep that in mind. And rest and recuperation involves yoga, massaging the muscles. A lot of athletes will do the cold water plunges or the, sitting in the hot tub, whatever your body needs to recoup from the stress that you put on it from whatever type of running you're doing. You have to do that, and you have to do that consistently. I believe that a lot of times athletes who are prone to injury either are not resting and recouping properly, or they're not eating properly. Those are the two things that increase your ability to continue to compete. You have to allow your body to naturally repair itself. However long that takes. For some people, they don't need as long. Their body doesn't need as long to recoup and repair. For others, it does. So you have to figure that out as you go through your own personal journey of training and figuring out, which running, if running is your thing, which running do you enjoy the most, and what routine does your body need in order for it to rest and recoup efficiently, so that you don't do more damage, cause more damage than get the benefits from whatever exercise you've chosen to do. So I'm sorry, got off on a tangent there. Let's continue. Okay, typical injury for distance runners is runner's knee and plantar fasciitis. For sprinters, it's IT band syndrome, hamstring strain, and Achilles tendinopathy. The verdict. This is Deepseek's verdict. Sprinting can be bad too. Don't be fooled. People who only sprint and never do low intensity work often have poor cardiovascular base, can't sustain effort, tight inelastic connective tissues, prone to injury when moving slowly, high risk of metabolic strain if done without proper rest. Okay, let's repeat that, because I think that is vital. Don't be fooled. People who only sprint and never do low intensity work often have poor cardiovascular base, they can't sustain effort, tight inelastic connective tissue, prone to injury when moving slowly, high risk of metabolic strain if done without proper rest. The healthiest approach combines both. Exactly. Use distance running to build an aerobic base and bone density, and sprinting to maintain power, fast twitch fibers, and metabolic health. So, distance running isn't bad. Too much distance running with poor recovery is bad. And sprinting isn't perfect, it just breaks different things much faster. Okay, that was Deepseek's summary. Okay, I thought that both of those, Chatgpt and Deepseek, gave some very good informative information about both sprinting and distance running. So, if you're deciding that you want to embark on a wellness journey that involves either one of those, do a deeper dive. Uh, Try them both, figure out which one your body responds to the best, and then, just work on your form and make sure that you are doing it correctly and allowing yourself to rest and eating well so that you are not causing more damage than the health benefits you're reaping. So there's a balance there. Okay, how does any of this affect our daily lives? Well, I don't know, because maybe some of you aren't runners or don't do, lifting and yoga and all of that. But, as an old head, it is definitely something that I stay on top of so that I can continue to live a great life. And health is wealth in my book. Health is wealth. Without your health, don't nothing else really matter. And that's the truth. I think Steve Jobs said it best. And I mean, he had many a quote. He would give everything to be healthy. And there's nothing he could give to be healthy. I mean, I'm not laughing at his situation, but just at the irony of the statement. Yeah, stress. I didn't get into stress, and you know what? I might do an issue on stress because I think that stress is extremely dangerous, and that so many people don't recognize how stress can wreak havoc on your body, especially when you don't have a daily routine that allows you to purify yourself and get the stress out. Because when you don't give stress a way to get out, it finds a way. And usually the way it finds is not a healthy route that you want to take. So I think we'll discuss stress in maybe another episode, not this one. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our positive saying for the day. Oh, I don't know if there's a positive saying, but this is something else I came across that we might have to do an episode on. And this was a while back, but I am really intrigued by metacognition. And so, this, like, under this administration, this last year and a half, we have watched people not be able to correct themselves as they go. And to me, that is just so intriguing, or not even want to. But let me go ahead and read this because I'm getting so far off of point. Okay, metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. To ask yourself, why did I react like that? To not react blindly. Self-aware people edit themselves as they function. And let me repeat that. Metacognition is the ability to think about your own thinking. Why did I react like that? Not reacting blindly. Self-aware people edit themselves as they function. Okay, so that really blows my mind. I got to do a deeper dive into that. Okay, that is it for episode number 96. Thank you so very much for giving me about 25 minutes of your time. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. We the people have the power. See you next episode. Peace.